Okay, come on in. If there's anyone there. This is oh, perfect. My dirty clothes are on my bike in the background. Great. When I work out, I usually put my sweaty clothes on my bicycle to dry them out a little bit, so that they don't get mildewy. This is the shittiest start to a political news show ever. So this is gonna be a little rough one, just testing it out, kind of. Did it a while back and kind of coming back to it, so we'll see how it goes. I got some old jokes from last week. We'll probably try. I think this is streaming, should be. So yeah, we'll kind of go through some stuff and just test it out. So okay, let's get going. Hold up, I did a fancy intro too. Live from a studio apartment, this is Misinformation. Okay, and in last week's top stories, well, it's still kind of going on. The government shutdown is still happening. I don't even know what day it's on, probably on day 12 or 13 or something like that by now. And as usual, what happened was the Democrats, I guess they wouldn't pass a Republican spending bill. Yeah, as usual, when Democrats encounter an argument they can't win, they kill it. Yeah, they kill it. Rough joke. Probably a little too soon. Yeah, Trump said he was trying to make a deal with the Democrats, but unfortunately he doesn't negotiate with terrorists. It's just U.S. policy. We can't do it. Yeah. There was a new study out, again, last week, that there was alien DNA found in the DNA of autistic humans, which I think we all suspected. And it's finally confirmed. If only there were a warning sign, some way to tell. I don't know. Diddy was sentenced to some jail time. I think it was like 50 months or something like that. A little bit lower than most people expected. But apparently they were concerned that he's got so much Diddy oil in his skin that he may just be able to slip between the bars. So, yeah, so they just figured let's just make it shorter. He's going to get out anyways. Let's just put him in there. This is a dumb one from last week. There was, I guess, Mark Sanchez was stabbed by a delivery driver. Mark Sanchez, former NFL player, stabbed by a delivery driver. Because I guess he got into a confrontation with him, attacked him when he was drunk. He got stabbed. And everyone on Twitter was wishing him to be delivered healing, in his time of need. I just received an update. Yes, Mark Sanchez has been stabbed by the healing delivery driver. I believe he started another argument with him and did not end well. I have an earpiece, it's just buried in the chop, so you can't see it. What is this one? I don't even know the context of that joke. By the way, these are all like saved little pictures that I've put in this software, whatever it is here. I have to manually click these when I hit the punchline. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. there's not like an editing guy off screen somewhere. It's just me and a laptop and some shitty lighting. So, okay, let me try this thing. I think we're going to just look at some news and stuff. Oh, and I have notes somewhere. I don't know if I'll be able to find them, though. I think probably the biggest thing to talk about, I did see a study today that there was a decrease in the youth trans rate, like the youth who was converting to trans is decreased like 50% since 2020, which, I mean, I could have seen that coming. When this all first started, I just always felt like it was, I don't know, that if you're an adult and you're making that kind of a decision on your own, I really have no problem with it. Like, I have no problem with anyone who's you know, felt like they were not in their right body, made an adult decision to do that. I think what's been weird is over the past like 5 years, there's been this weird 50%, I guess it was a 50% increase in the people converting to trans, right? And I always felt like that was just basically the Democrats in 2016 were pushing Black Lives Matter. They always sort of need a victim group, you know? So they had their victim group in 2016. It was black people. And then once they milked that as much as they could, they kind of pivoted in 2020 and were like, okay, what can we find now? Oh, how about the trans individuals? So they started really pushing that as their like new victim group. And I think that when we look back on this, we're going to see there was a wave of individuals who didn't really feel that way, and especially tragic for the youth who were affected by it, but who were basically, these were kids who, 10 years ago, if you felt uncomfortable in your own body and you weren't fitting in high school, you would just become a goth kid, right? But because of what the Democrats were pushing, all of a sudden it became like, oh no, I've got to change my actual physical body. I've got to become trans, And then you see this number, like the reduction of 50%. It's like, I feel like 20 years from now, we're going to look back and realize that being trans was like the big fad of the 2020s. Like it's going to be the equivalent of troll dolls or skinny jeans, which sucks. But yeah, I do feel like we need some sort of I want to say some type of an off-road for people, because I feel like what we're going to see is probably a wave of people who were convinced to do this, especially young kids or teenagers who were convinced to do this and who regret it and who feel like they really messed up their life. It's got to be tough, So I feel like the best thing to do, the humane thing to do, would be to find some way for people to get an off-ramp if they want to detransition without having to pay a crap ton of money or feel like they're stuck in this, situation that they can't get out of. So anyways, I've just always viewed it as genital mutilation. There's other cultures where we used to shun that. We used to look at other cultures that would mutilate, the clitoris or something, and we would say, oh, that's horrifying. Like, why would you do that to children? For whatever reason, because of the propaganda and stuff that was going on in 2020, we just sort of accepted it in our culture. It's sort of a disease of people being too nice. So that's a bummer. That news came out. What else we got? Venezuelan boats. So I guess Trump hit another boat. I feel like this is the 5th boat, isn't it? There are like 5 boats that have been blown up so far. And I see a lot of people on social media just like, it's, Democrats condemning the war crime, the violation of human rights. And to be honest, I just don't give a shit at this point. The way I view it, if those boats are carrying fentanyl, and we know that they are, right? There's a huge problem with that. Fentanyl to me is a WMD. It's a weapon of mass destruction. You have boats bringing giant, huge amounts of poison into America. So we can't be nice anymore, right? Like, that's an attack to me. So you have to, and the beautiful thing about blowing up the boats is really, it's ideally a deterrent. If all you're doing is trying to catch drug smugglers or intercept them at some point, there's like a certain amount of risk involved, but it's probably not going to outweigh the millions of dollars that they're making from smuggling drugs. If, on the other hand, you see these videos, which the Trump administration is putting out there right on social media, just so everyone could see the boats blowing up, right? You see those boats blowing up without even a chance. They're speeding along. Missile hits them every time. They're gone, right? Fire, the flames. That is a deterrent. Now, if you're a Venezuelan drug smuggler, you're really thinking twice about taking that boat. You're like, how many guys got to America the last bunch of boats we sent? What's the percentage of people that get drone striked again? So I like it a lot as a deterrent. I think it's a good move. And then, let me see. Here, we'll go into... I think we can do screen capture deal. Oh, God. I think I want this over here. Ish? Okay. All right. Awkward angle. Okay. Let me see. So these are sort of not in any order, but we'll kind of go through some stuff. I want this a little smaller too. This is ridiculously wide. That's what she said. Damn it, I should have hit the camera on that one. And let's just try to do this. Oh gosh. Oh, I bet I have to edit the actual thing. Hold on one sec. I think I have to move the actual window to different dimensions. Perfect. I gotta get going soon too. I do stand-up comedy in the evenings, so this will be a little bit shorter, but it's just kind of a test tonight. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. So the first one, oh, this was really funny. I guess there's this guy, Bad Hombre, on Twitter. I haven't really heard of him before this, but I think I've seen his tweets before. But he says, I'd very much like to take credit for getting rid of this. I guess there was like an immigrant, a visa holder, who had talked some shit about Charlie Kirk during his assassination. You could see there. It's tough for me to read these. It's like behind the camera. But she's basically saying that Charlie Kirk can rest in piss, going off on social media. And I guess this guy, Bad Hombre, retweeted it, or he took screenshots and put it up during that first wave of kind of cancellations right after Charlie Kirk's assassination. And he calls her out and just points to where she's at and everything. And there's a whole thread, the Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, right here, calls her out by name. They actually deported her. They stripped her of her visa, which to me, again, makes perfect sense. Yes, we have free speech, but that is a right for American citizens. Of course, if there's people visiting, yes, we would want to extend that right to them, but we have no obligation to extend visas to people who hate America, right? That's not really what the point of welcoming people to our country is. So if you come here and you wish death upon Americans, I have no problem with revoking the visa status in those cases. Okay, let's just X out of these as we kind of go. I kind of need to move this camera somehow. Oh, let's just move this. Okay, maybe this will work. It kind of works. Okay, this was, I think it's Zohran Mamdani. That's the New York mayor who's a communist. Looks like he's going to be elected too. And I guess this was back in 2020 where he's flipping off a Columbus statue saying, take it down. And someone tweets here, Geiger Capital tweets, imagine moving to another country and after just 2 years of being a citizen, you are working to tear down their statues and monuments. Which I totally agree with. On the flip side, that's also kind of what Columbus did. Should be pointed out. Also kind of Columbus's MO. So, a little bit of irony there. We got Angel Reese at the Victoria's Secret fashion show. Not much commentary. I just wanted to play this video. She's taken a lot of hate recently, but just give it a second. Hear her out. That's a lot of jiggling. I don't even know how that's possible. I don't know what's moving. I don't know what's attached. It seems to defy the laws of physics. Oh, but she's hot. Let's see if we can capture it here, though. You can't quite see. But she does have the back shot snake tattoo. atypical of Victoria's Secret models, but kind of funny. So, anyways, I'd hit it 100%. Okay, Matt Van Swole. I don't understand why no one is panicking about this. America's about to have a full-blown communist running the financial. This is back to Zohran getting elected as the New York mayor. Wouldn't it be funny? I mean, not really, but wouldn't it be funny if he was elected mayor and in like 2 years, New York just went bankrupt? Like, I don't know what New York's financial state is, if they can even like be in any trouble for any reason. So it may just be that he's in a city that's so financially strong it's like impossible to completely wreck it. But I think conservatives just think it would be funny if he completely tanked it within like a year or two. But I don't know. Well, we'll see how it goes. Looks like he's going to win. It's 87% versus 13% for Cuomo, who was like long time stalwart. So kind of crazy. People looking to try the communism out there. This is Greta Thunberg. She had some statements today about her, I think it was a brief captivity in Israel when her flotilla was captured. She claimed, among other things, that the Israeli guards kicked and punched her. Apparently they had like this Israeli flag sitting next to her is what she claims. And every time it would touch her face, they would kick her or they would punch her. I find these claims difficult to believe at first glance. I don't know if this will take me to it or if I have another little thing here, but no, maybe not. I would think if you were kicked, punched, tortured, there would be photos. And the threads that I've seen where she's talking about this stuff, I've not so far seen any evidence of bruising or scratches or anything like that. On the flip side, is she really the person who's going to make something like that up? It's kind of a wild claim to make against another country. So my guess is probably something in the middle did happen. They probably weren't super nice to her. Was it torture? Was it beating her? Probably not. Did they tell her to get off the flag and maybe push her aside a little bit? Possibly. But who knows? It sounds a little bit questionable to me, so I wouldn't take that at face value. All right. This is just a funny story. There's this girl, Brianna Morello, who I guess she's a conservative, sort of does the same thing I'm trying to do, where she's making videos, has her own little show and stuff. But she complained about this guy. I don't even know what his name is. I guess a couple months ago, he was like trying to talk to her or hit on her. He saw her on the street or something. He followed her into her apartment building. Not into her apartment, but into like the entrance to her building and freaked her out. And so I guess she called the cops on him and everything. Not a good move, by the way. If you're trying to talk to a girl on the street, never follow her into her apartment or her work or anything like that. It's just not... Personally, I would just let it go at that point. But he follows her in. And she was making a big deal out of it. Like, she's filing restraining orders and lawsuits and all this stuff. And I was starting to feel bad for the guy. And then I see him. She's got this tweet today that there was another girl in the area who I guess he went into her work and was bothering her. And she's trying to kick him out. Who is this motherfucker? Like, how do you get all that bad attention and you're still at it? Is this like the most... I'm trying to figure, is he the most ambitious guy in the world? Is he like... But always in these terrible situations, I don't know. I guess it is a little creepy. I mean, I wouldn't want somebody, if it was a girl standing in my job like that, he goes around the counter. That's creepy. So... speaking of which, I think we got some stuff on flirting here. There's been a lot of threads from Ayala on flirting. Ayala girl, for those who don't know, she's like a famous prostitute on Twitter. That's the Cliff Notes. But Here's one of the tips they gave. She had some big SlutCon event, which I guess ended up being mostly about like flirting workshops and stuff like that. And she's been retweeting some of the findings from it. So one person, Talia, says notes on flirting from this weekend. Flirts structured as a compliment, i.e. you're beautiful, were sweet but didn't go anywhere. They placed me high status relationally. I appreciated them and felt warmly, but the energy died there. There was no tension, no back and forth. So what she's essentially saying is, if you're flirting with a girl, don't lead or really tell her that she's like beautiful. And that's like the main way that you're flirting with her. Because according to her, it's placing her on a pedestal as being like higher than the guy, and the guy seems lower value. Which I agree with, that could be happening. To me, the potentially bigger thing is, and here's the reason you don't really want to do stuff like that. Whether you're a girl or a guy, you generally don't want to hit on someone for their physical attractiveness, because it makes it very obvious that they want you, right? In other words, and I've had this happen to me where a girl, believe it or not, with the chops, where a girl will say like, oh my God, you're so handsome, or oh my God, you're so hot, or whatever, right? Once someone says that, high status, low status, sure. But once somebody says that, I know that I can get them, right? Like I'm like, okay, easy, I got that one in the bag, right? So then I'm in this sort of power position. This is like basic human psychology negotiation, right? Like now I can sit back and decide, do I really want to like invest in this person or not, right? Is it really worth my time, right? And people generally value more the things that are difficult for them to get. So if there's a really expensive clothing item that's tough to find, it's never in stock, you're going to psychologically value that more than something that's super common and cheap, right? Obvious. So whenever I compliment a girl, I usually, if it's something physical, I'll usually say something about her outfit. It's a little bit in between. I'm not directly saying like, hey, I think you're beautiful, or I think you're so hot, or whatever. It's just as simple like, hey, I like your style, it looks really cool, right? So it's a good compliment, it's a good way to break the ice, and you're not directly like making it sound like they can have you, right? You're just like, yeah, you have a nice style, I like it, right? And when girls have said that to me before, I've taken it that same way, where I'm like, oh, kind of feel good, nice compliment, but I'm not like, oh, I can get them. So that's my take on flirting. You get a lot from this political show. All 0 people that are in the chat so far. We might wrap it up pretty soon here. Triumphal Arch sounds cool. Creator monetization on X. I guess the X is considering getting rid of the creator monetization program because it has turned all of Twitter essentially into a big meme farm and a big like wild and crazy clickbait videos farm, which I actually like this idea. I think it's stupid. I think that just having seen what people get paid out, it doesn't even seem like it's worth it for most people. I mean, most people that I've seen, I'm not getting paid out certainly, but most people, even with big followings that show their monetization, looks like it's like $200 every couple weeks. And I'm just like, that amount for slop in your entire timeline, it just doesn't seem like the payoff is worth it. So, and unfortunately, once you motivate people with money, they're going to do whatever it takes to get more money. So I've seen the quality of X certainly drop over the last like 1 to 2 years. And I actually would support getting rid of this or figuring out a different way to monetize accounts. Got to be some different way to monetize accounts where it's not based on clicks necessarily, some other metric of engagement. YouTube can do it, right, without creating complete slop, so X should be able to too. All right, next up. Oh, so the guy, Big Balls, in the news again. This was one of Elon Musk's Doge employees who got beaten up by a group of, I think it was black teens. They all got jumped, maybe 2 adults in there as well, but they got jumped when he was standing outside of a car. I guess that a DC judge just allowed 2 of the teens who jumped him to avoid jail time, stating that her job's to rehabilitate, not to punish. And then you got Elon Musk coming in, calling her a racist judge. Situation had been reversed. The white kids would be in jail. Yeah, likely they would. So I don't like it. It seems like I mean, I'm not saying they need to do life behind bars or something, right? But I mean, some simple jail time for an assault that looks like it pretty actually badly injured him. That's how people learn, you know? Your job is also to enforce the law. And I think it's a better lesson for people to act that there's consequences to actions like this versus, oh, maybe I can just get away with it and whatever. So it is a racist decision. It's totally stupid. And they got to find a way to fix that. And this is kind of along the same lines. You got Ketanji, I believe it's Ketanji, right? Jackson was in one of her Supreme Court arguments. She was saying that black people were disadvantaged. I think she was talking about voting rights, maybe. And she used an analogy of like disabled people and it's how we expanded the laws to make everything accommodating for disabled people. And she likened that to black people. She essentially said that black people are disabled. Not in direct terms, maybe, but she likened the analogy to it. Yes, that is a black Supreme Court justice saying that black people are disabled in American society. Kind of defeats her entire argument right out of the gate. But I also got to fix the lighting here. It looks like I'm in a cellar. I have to get a second ring light, unfortunately. Put it over there. All right, let's kind of wrap it up. Too much racist stuff on this feed right now. This is the lady who...
White motherfuckers come and make me shut up. All y'all white motherfuckers. Yeah, because y'all fucking talking because he's a white motherfucker and I'm talking about his boss.
So, well, that's a great place to stop it. She basically was upset, I guess a dog was touching her on the subway, which I feel. I don't particularly like strangers' dogs rubbing up on me either. That part's fine. But, you know, flying off about white people this and white people that, it's just racism. And it makes her look really, really bad. And the thing about the white racism is people don't even realize they're being racist while they're doing it. Because it's been so pushed as being like socially acceptable. They just let it fly. Remarkable. But yeah, totally racist. And to me, I mean, there's all these tweets like asking if she was right about the dog. The second that you start letting racist bullshit fly like that, it's no longer about the dog. Now you're just an asshole. So, yeah, I think it looks terrible. We should shame that a little bit more. You gotta do something. And one more. Oh, this is Trump saying that if Hamas doesn't disarm, he will disarm them, or we will disarm them. And Scott Adams, so there's people that obviously don't want us involved in a physical war in the Middle East. To me, looks like more of Trump's negotiating tactics. Obviously, you got to have the strong arm in case they want to backtrack on the deal. So he's done a good job so far on this. I trust him to apply pressure when needed and assume that he doesn't mean we would go in and physically get into a hot war with Hamas. So that's what I'm assuming. Anyways, that's about it for tonight. I don't think anyone's in the chat tonight. So we will try to go again tomorrow. I'll go do some stand-up comedy, and I'll try to write some newer jokes for next time. So everyone have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Can we stop?